All right, financial math classes. Today we are talking about the cost of operating and maintaining a vehicle. So talked about what goes into purchasing the vehicle, the cost associated with that. And then we also talked about insurance, how to calculate insurance, the cost of insurance. Today we're going to be talking about how to the cost of operating and maintaining a vehicle. So few things, there's some factors you need to consider when owning a vehicle. You'll always hear about gas prices, how much that costs. And then there's other costs. So there are variable costs. So variable costs are the costs that increase as the number of miles driven increase. So the older your car gets, these things will start to cost more. Gasoline, oil filters, air filters, tires, and then any sort of repairs. So those things are going to vary as, you know, outside circumstances change. And then as your car gets older, you know, things like repairs are going to start costing more. There are the fixed costs that remain the same no matter what. Those fixed costs would include insurance, registration fees, car payments if you got a loan to pay your car, and then there's depreciation. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when you own a car, you have to pay a registration fee. All right, you go to the DMV or they to register your car, to get the license plates. You have to pay a fee to do that, and then you have to pay every year. Keep that going. All right, that's something you have to do. And then, like we talked about, insurance. The one thing you can almost put insurance in a variable cost, because as the vehicle gets older, that cost is going to change. As you get older, teenagers tend to insurance costs more for teenagers because you're inexperienced drivers, and so that's a risk for the insurance company to insure you. So teenagers' insurance costs more. As you get older and you have a good driving record, the cost to insure you decreases. So you can almost include insurance as a variable cost throughout the years. But registration fees tend to cost the same each year. You know, different legislation or whatever might change, or taxes might change how much a registration fee costs, but that's the yearly cost. The depreciation, one of the things about cars is they lose value. So if you buy a car for $20,000 in a year, it's only gonna be worth like $17,000. It's gonna decrease year to year, and also decrease depending on its condition. So things that are figured into the condition, you know, how many miles have been driven on it. Are there any major accidents that in the car or anything else like that? The current value of your car, you wouldn't calculate out that yourself. You can find these things. There's like the Kelly Blue Book where you can look it up, or you look up the stuff online. Or if you go in to trade a vehicle with a dealership to trade in for a new vehicle, they'll calculate out, they'll tell you how much they're willing to pay for your vehicle. But it's never going to be what you paid for it, because cars lose value. Every car loses value. So to calculate the depreciation, you take your purchase price minus today's value. Again, you're not calculating out the today's value, and just divide it by the number of years you have owned it. And then the cost per mile, you just add up the variable costs and fixed costs and divide by number of miles driven. So let's look at an example. We have Tom Miller purchased a new 4-door sedan for $34,590 2 years ago. He drove 22,322 miles during the last year and kept a record of all his expenses. He estimates the vehicle's present value at $20,190. Calculate Tom's depreciation, total variable and fixed costs, and the cost per mile. So first thing we need to do, we got to figure out the depreciation, because the depreciation is going to go into the fixed cost. All right, losing money on it, so it's not like money going out of your pocket, but that is put in, that's figured into the fixed cost. You consider that with the cost of owning the vehicle. So the purchase price, so the depreciation, we're going to do the purchase price, so 34,590 minus the current value, 20,190. And then we're going to divide it by years owned. It says he purchased it 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So we're going to divide that by 2. So look at that. If you look, it's already worth almost 15,000 less than he paid for it. So 34,590 minus 20,190 comes out to 14,400. Divided by 2. Oops. Forgot to divide by 2. So that's 7,200 when you divide by 2. So I'm going to put that in here, 7,200. I'm going to add up all the fixed costs real quick to figure out the total variable costs, or excuse me, add up the variable costs. So 1848.30 plus 51.85 plus 126.84 plus 242.90 is equal to $2,269.89. Man, that handwriting got messy. Let me rewrite that. $2,269.89. Add up the depreciation, or add up all the fixed costs. So 785 plus 125 plus 395.30 plus 7,200 comes out to $8,505.30. So now cost per mile. What we want to do is add those, the variable costs and fixed costs, so 22,069.89 plus 8,505.30, and we divide it by number of miles driven, so 22,322. And so let's add that together. So 2269.89 plus 8,505.30 is 10,077.14. Then I'm going to divide by 22,322. That comes out to about 48 cents per mile. So almost 50 cents for every mile he drives was the total cost of the vehicle. So when you put it in terms of that, that kind of seems expensive, right? For every mile you're spending 50 cents to drive a mile. A little bit crazy. Anyway, next lesson, we're going to talk about how to lease a vehicle and what that means. So we'll see you guys then.